sports news you need. Live.
Good afternoon, welcome to the locker room. And you must be thinking, well, it's Sunday, why is the locker room on? But we've got a new show every Sunday between 3 and 5. We're looking back at the weekend's action, and it's been a busy weekend. Dundee United and Livingston are just about to kick off. They've got a minute's silence at that game. I'm not sure what that's for, but we'll speak about that very soon. So, as you know, you can contact us on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. And you can also comment on Facebook Live or YouTube as well. Okay, so we're joined by Dave Smith today and Mr. Duffy. And we were just watching the big game at 3 o'clock. No, at 12 o'clock. It finished Cats 1, Hibs 1, and Dave was watching the game. So, let's have your report on the game, Dave.
Yeah, probably 2 points dropped if your Hearts and a point gained if your Hibs. I mean, Hearts were obviously in the sense they took the lead through Shankland. I didn't see the goal because obviously I was busy getting a wee ice bath at dinner time today. But yeah, in terms of Hearts, obviously got the lead through Shankland. And Hearts under Robbie Neilson are usually renowned for seeing these types of games out, and that'll be a disappointing one for the Jam Tarts this afternoon, Michael, because Hearts are accustomed to being resilient in games. They're also good in terms of organisation. They're good in terms of seeing games over the line. And this afternoon, we're mightily disappointed for Hearts, even though they didn't lose the game. So there's that. Hi, Katrina Higgins. I hope you're well. We love signing there. We love you too. Anyway, back on the game. From a Hibs persuasion, it was obviously good for them to get level. Who else but Martin Boyle? Obviously came back. Hibs announced him yesterday. I didn't actually realise he was going to be playing today. I thought he was still over abroad. I didn't realise he was back in time for the game today. But good for Hibs to get level, and for Graham's sake, sorry, he'll be disappointed with the outcome, and he'll have been looking at this and he's been absolutely fuming. Graham's not touched a drink, and that just goes to show you. I'll let him have his rant about that ball goal in a minute, but I think Graham touched upon it himself. I'll kind of lead him on it that it could have been a whole lot better defensively for Hearts. And from Robbie Neilson's point of view, it's not the end of the world. I mean, Hearts have picked up 4 points from 2 games. That's a pretty good start when you look at overall. But for Lee Johnson, I think it's a welcome point for Lee Johnson to an extent, Michael, because he kind of needs that point. He's actually a really, really good start of the season when you think about it. He's had a good 1-0 win at St John's, and that's a late winner. And then he's obviously drew with Hearts today, courtesy of a late equaliser. And it goes to show you that Hibs will have a never say die attitude. Yeah, there might be times in games where they're well behind or not playing well in games or whatever have you, but they'll still have a desire, they'll still have a courage to turn things around, and I think that deserves to be applauded.
Graham?
Yeah, it's frustrating. Losing the goal in the last minute like that was disappointing, but I think in the terms of the game overall, I thought first half there wasn't a lot of quality on show. I thought for the first 20 minutes or so, Hibs were probably the better side. You know, they pressed us, they harried us, they didn't really let us get into the game. When I saw the team at the start, I liked it. That's the team that I wanted Hearts to start with. You know, playing that 4-2-3-1 with Boyce, Forrest and Mackay in behind Shankland, I thought that was the one I wanted. But Hibs started the game on the front foot. I thought they would have been at home for, Lee Johnson's first derby game. And for the first 2 minutes, it was very scrappy. There wasn't a lot in the game. I think Ellie Ewan makes a really, really good chance and a really good save for Craig Gordon. And the one bit of quality in the first half was the goal. You know, it's a great bit of play for Barry Mackay, a lovely ball to Lawrence Shankland, really good control and a good finish. And probably for 10 minutes after that, I thought Hearts looked the better side. And then again, Hibs came back into the game. Second half, I thought Hearts started a lot better. We had chances. There's a really good chance. It's a great ball from Alan Forrest. Shankland, it's a good save for the keeper. When it comes back to Barry Mackay, he should score. Now, I think if Barry Mackay scores that 2-0, I think the game's done. At 1-0 up, you're always going to be a bit susceptible to maybe a chance for Hibs. But again, Hibs had a lot of the ball, but didn't really create a lot. There was a lot of balls into the box that Rowells and Halkett dealt with, or Craig Gordon came out and took. There wasn't a lot. And then 60 minutes came, and Martin Boyle comes on, and I turned to my son and I said, he's going to score. It was so predictable that Martin Boyle, on his return, was going to score. It's disappointing we will lose the goal because we defended very well throughout the game, and then one lapse in concentration. LOU and fair play to him, he does very well, but I think Halkett should stop the cross. And then Toby Sibbick's ball watching. He doesn't know where Martin Boyle is. He's right behind him. Boyle finishes 1-1. Disappointing we haven't won the game, but listen, it's 7 derby games unbeaten now for Hearts. Listen, it's still a disappointing result that we've not won the game, and Robin Nielsen still hasn't won Easter Road yet, and he should have won it today. But as Dave said, now Hearts have got 4 points after 2 games. You know, we're still unbeaten in the derbies after 7 games, so I'm not overly critical. The one thing I would say is I thought the subs were wrong. I thought bringing Nathaniel Atkins, Toby Sibbick and Andy Halliday on was very defensive. For me, when you take off Alan Forrest, that should be Josh Ginnelly. You could bring on Ewan Henderson for a bit more pace up front. You could bring on Mackay Stephen. So I thought the subs were wrong. But as I've said in the group chat, and as I said to a few folk on Twitter, if Barry Mackay scores that chance he has, it's 2-0 up and nobody complains. So 1-1, disappointing we haven't won the game, but listen, it's 2 games into the season. There's a long way to go, so I'm not going to be overly disappointed about that.
Don't forget, you can have your say on the game or any of the other games this weekend. Just comment on Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so one each. So let's dissect the game then, Graham. Hibs had the better of the kind of opening, what you would say, 15, 20 minutes. 3 brilliant chances to score, but how many times have you saw this in the game of football? The other team has no shots on goal, then goes up the park and scores, and that was Hearts today, and it was a good team goal, and that was like 2 goals in 2 games for Ronning Shankland. You must be very happy with his start to his career at Tynecastle.
As I said to Barry Anderson on the show on Friday, Lawrence Shank is the one that we've missed. We've missed a real penalty box natural finisher. And he hadn't had a lot of the ball in the first half, but then none of the forward players did at Hearts. But it was a great finish. Really, really good balling from Mackay. And I know there was a hint of controversy. Was it a handball? I don't think it was. I'm not saying that to be biased. I just don't think it was. I think it hits the top of his shirt. And it's a really good finish, really composed. But Hibs' threat for me was on the right-hand side. I thought Chris Cadden looked very dangerous. He put in a couple of brilliant crosses. He was a bit unlucky that nobody took advantage of them. But the one cross he did put in, LOU, and as I said, it's a great header and a fantastic save for Craig Gordon. But how often do I say that? You know, Craig Gordon is just absolutely vital to Hearts. But again, it's too many times he's having to save us. But again, after that, Hibs didn't really create a lot. They had a lot of the ball, a lot of balls into the box, but nothing really. You know, I thought defensively we handled everything that Hibs threw at us pretty well. And as I said, after 60 minutes, when Martin Boyle comes on, I thought Hibs are going to score through Boyle. It's so predictable. And they did. But, you know, first half, as I say, it wasn't a game of great quality. You know, last season we had the first 2 games with 0-0. So I was glad when Shanklin scored. It's like, right, that takes that away. It's not going to be 0-0 now, but there wasn't a great deal of quality. And these derby games sometimes aren't about quality. It's about winning the game. And we haven't managed to win it in the end. So, you know, a point, is it deserved? I think Hibs huffed and puffed, but didn't really create a lot. But listen, I'll take the point away from home. I'm not going to be overly disappointed about that.
Does it feel that a defeat, Graham?
I think because the goal comes so late, it does. And again, I've seen a lot of Hearts fans on Twitter absolutely furious. I'm going to take a dose of reality here. You're 1-0 up. It's a last minute. These things happen. You look at the game yesterday. St Johnstone win the game in the last minute. Last week, Hibs win the game in the last minute. These things happen. If you don't get that second goal, then that's always a chance that's going to happen. So, yeah, disappointing not to win, but 4 points out of 6 after 2 games, I'm not going to be overly disappointed about that.
Who was your man of match, Dave? I know that you missed some of the game today, but the part of the game that you did see, who was your man of the match?
From what I've seen, from a Hibs point of view, Who was the guy who crossed the ball for the equaliser again?
Ellie Ewan.
Aye, him. I thought he was good when he played. Got to some good areas and aye, was a presence for the Hibs side. Apologies if you hear any apologies if you hear any bike noises outside. It was a bit noisy over here, but yeah, I thought Johan made a difference. Got to some good areas, exposed the opposition, and played a huge part in that equaliser with a cross for Boyle. So Johan was good for Hibs, and from a Hearts point of view, thought Shankland did okay. Got obviously scored, so that's obviously quite good. I'd probably go for Shankland, but obviously I never got to see the whole game, so Graham probably be better equipped to answer from a Hearts persuasion.
For me, I thought Shankland did really well, took his goal well, but for me, I thought Alec Cochrane was absolutely outstanding. That's probably his best game for Hearts. I thought he defended very well. Even when Martin Ball came on, he defended really well against the pace of Boyle, and he got forward as well. I thought Cochrane was absolutely superb. So for me, he was man of the match for me by an absolute mile.
Can I just add? Sorry, can I just add that the scenes on Alex Cochrane was disgusting. Obviously, Edinburgh Derby is a good advert for Scottish football. Obviously, both teams are hyped up for these types of games, but what happened with Alex Cochrane is pitiful as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we were going to touch upon that now, Alex Cochrane. I mean, how many times does that have to happen before Hibs get fined money or whatever? Because that's not the first time that's happened, and I was live on Sky as well. But I seem to remember that was it last season, Graham, that Rangers was it James Cavanagh? That's somebody jumped over the barrier.
Yeah, it's an absolute disgrace, and it says I've just seen breaking news here as well. Hibs Chief Executive Ben Kensell vowed to launch a probe into the conduct and reception of the home fans in the Easter Road Edinburgh Derby as Robbie Neilson slammed the incidents which marred the 1-1 draw and urged the SPFL to take action. Jambo says Alex Cochrane was pelted with chips while a bottle was allegedly thrown at Hearts scorer Lauren Shankland, and Martin Boyle's late leveller saw fans invade the pitch. Kensell said they would look into events in the Capital Clash, where Neilson said that kind of behaviour must be kicked out of Scottish football. Speaking to Sky Sports after the Pulsating Derby, I don't know if I agree with Pulsating, I thought it was quite poor in the on, but Kensell said we can't condone it. Sometimes the passion of what happens and the situation and how it unfolds dictates some of that. There are scenes we need to look at. We ask our fans to always act appropriately, and there are a few incidents we'll look at post-match. Passion is what football is all about, but we have to address things internally, as ultimately it has to be a safe environment here at Easter Road, and I believe it is. You know, it happens far too often, and that was an absolute shocker. You know, I feel sorry for Alec Cochrane. The stuff getting chucked in, that could have been a lot worse. It could have been a bottle, it could have been anything. And then for basically John Beaton to go and say, "Oh, just go back over." I mean, come on. It's an absolute scandal. It happens far too much now. Something's got to be done about it.
I mean, Dave was part last season. One of the games at Easter Road, that section was actually shut for one game. But I mean, it says to me as though that the fans don't listen or they don't learn.
Yeah, what I would say in elaboration of what Graham was saying there, based on what he mentioned there, I think is a good point from Graham. Basically, when Cochrane, when things unravelled and Cochrane got what he got from the Hibs supporters, basically John Beattie was having a laugh with Cochrane. For me, it's not the right approach. For me, I think you need to be consoling the player to an extent, where you're making sure the player's okay. Because Alex Cochrane's intelligent enough and probably has enough character and is professional enough to obviously overcome these types of situations. But there'd be players like either black players or gay players or whatever have you, there would maybe be a whole lot worse in that type of situation, and John Beaton would probably have to handle it in a completely different way. So for me, I thought John Beaton was a bit poor in that regard. But on your point about that game between Hibs and Rangers a few years ago, obviously Tavernier had the incident that he did, and Leanne Dempster, when she was at Hibs, she was on BT after that game. That's all fine and well, but it's Hibs kicking themselves again because it's maybe calmed down to an extent over the last year or so, but Hibs in big games there seems to be some sort of trouble. Hibs aren't a fan base renowned for trouble as such, but there's a minority or individuals that let the club down, and it's hugely frustrating if you're Ben Kensel or people involved behind the scenes at that football club.
Just because, 15 minutes gone at Tallaght, still Dundee United, Livingston, Dundee United nil, Livingston nil. It's a very scrappy game. Nothing's really in the game. It's not really a full house compared to Thursday night, where all the parts of the ground was full of United fans, but the part where behind the goal that's empty, but disappointing. But because on Thursday night that was full, so it's 15 minutes gone now. Dundee United nil, Livingston nil. We said in the group chat as well, Graham, and I still don't know why Robbie Nielsen got a yellow card for. Maybe it was shouting at the ref.
I think it looked like he must have said something, but I mean, come on. These games are passionate games. It's remember a derby. Whatever's happened, well, I don't know if we'll ever find out what happened, but Robbie's a passionate man. Whatever it was, he's obviously said something that John Beaton doesn't like, but I think when you go back to that Alec Cochrane situation, I mean, there's kids at that game. I mean, what they must be thinking about that? Oh, it's okay to chuck stuff on the pitch. And, Alec Cochrane's doing his job. These guys are professional footballers doing a job. And to have stuff chucked at you, you shouldn't have to go through that when you're on a football pitch. That's meant to be a place of safety. And yet there's fans chucking stuff on the pitch. It's an absolute scandal. And these things need to get. I'm interested to see what Neil Doncaster says, if he says anything, or if he's too much of a coward to say anything. But something needs to be done about that. There needs to be some kind of action. But you can't take action against all Hibs fans because it's not their fault. It's a minority that's done it. But something needs to happen before somebody gets seriously injured.
And also, we've got to speak about when Hibs scored. Okay, if the fans ran onto the park, but you would think because of that incident with Harry Cochrane going over for a shy, you would think they would basically kind of like calm down a wee bit.
I get the passion. You've scored in the last minute. Martin Boyd, the returning hero, scored the goal. I can understand why some fans want to run on the pitch, but again, it's a draw. You've not won the game. I understand that if it's a draw, but you've not won. It's a draw. And as I say, listen, I can understand the passion, but why are you invading the pitch in a 1-1 draw? It's just pointless. It really is. And I just think, somebody could have been seriously hurt. Thankfully, nobody was. I get the over-exuberance, but take a break. It's a 1-1 draw. You've not won the game. So just, take a step back. You've still not won a derby in 7 games. So just relax a little bit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Martin Boyle came on and popped up, and you said to your son he would score, and it's scored. How many times does that happen, Dave? If like a former player comes back, or a player used to sign for a player used to play for your club, and then comes back after 2 years and he scores a winning goal, or else in this case gets you a point?
Yeah, there's a lot of players in Scottish football in particular that get very comfortable. I mean, Lee Griffiths is a great example of that. He was at Hibs, never exactly. He went to Wolves. He was at Wolves in England. And never transpired in the way he wanted to, which meant Lee Griffiths had to go back to Hibs. And once he was back to Hibs, he was firing them in. Anthony Stokes was another example of that. Went to a couple of clubs in England, I think it was. Came back to Scottish football after a star-studded spell at Falkirk. Went to Hibs, banged in goals. Boyle, I think Boyle and Shankland will have the same mindset and the same instant impact as these players will as well. They'll come back to Scotland and will score goals again. Shankland's going to be a big player for Robbie Nielsen's Hearts this season. I just think he's the missing part of the jigsaw as far as Hearts are concerned, because Hearts were needing a striker, and it was about getting the right level of striker. In terms of Boyle, I think today showed how he's been a massive miss for Hibs, because Hibs have been lacking a lot of creativity, and they've been getting a lot of scraps in order to get results, especially recently. So this is a big one today for Hibs, and it's a big one for Martin Boyle scoring again. And I think you'll see the Hibs that they were renowned for prior to Boyle's departure. Great for Hibs to get Martin Boyle back, and I still think there's a lot more to come from Martin Boyle, but the same token as well, it's good. Probably it's good that he's back up running and scoring again. Apologies, by the way, because I didn't get to bed till late last night, so it's a Sunday blues for me today, and that's why I've been yawning.
Graham, do you think it was because if Martin Boyle didn't score that goal? I know football's kind of if, buts and maybes, and I don't know why I said that, because that's the second time this weekend I've said that on the show. Sorry about that. If, buts and maybes, there you go, 3 times. Do you think it would be 3 points to Hearts?
It would be. We all know how good a player Martin Boyle is, and he's a player that Hibs will pull a lot for that pace and that drive that he brings to Hibs. I couldn't really see him scoring apart from Martin Boyle. Again, I thought Yuan looked very dangerous. And as I said earlier on, I thought Chris Cannon on the right-hand side looked very, very good in the first half, but he didn't really do much in the second half. But I couldn't really see him scoring. And then obviously Hearts switch off and Martin Boyle gets the goal, but that's what he's there for. He's in the right place at the right time and he gets his goal, so fair play to him. And I think, I said at the end of last season, I think Hibs will have a far better season this season, because they can't be any worse than last season. They brought Martin Boyle in. They've got players to get up to speed. They've got a lot of new players in, and I think as well, when Kevin Nisbet is back up to full speed, he'll be a huge player for Hibs as well. So I do think Hibs will have a very good season this season. And I think Martin Boyle is going to be a massive part of that.
Big shout out to Samantha. I'm guessing that Samantha is a Hibs fan. She's like brilliant for Martin Boyle to get on the score sheet at the end of the game and basically save the day for Hibs, Graham, a point at the end of the day. But I mean, it's all right getting a point in these kind of games, but you've got to build on that then. You've got to go next week and the week after and the week after that to start winning games. It's all right picking up points and derby games and all that. And I know that's a kind of big game, but you've got to build on that. You've got to build some momentum in the team.
Yeah, of course you do. And I think you can see the lift that it gave Hibs having Martin Boyle back. You know, you can see the fans before the game when they got introduced, they were buzzing, and you could hear them on the touch. You could hear when he was warming up. You know, just the buzz that gave the Hibs fans. And as a Hearts fan sitting there, I'm thinking, oh, I know what's going to happen here. I can see it coming. And when it came on, you could sense the lift that gave the Hibs fans and the Hibs players as well. You know, these Hibs players, a lot of them have not played with Martin Boyle before, but they know what he can do. They know what he's capable of. And it gave them that lift. You know that if you get the ball at Boyle, he's going to drive it folk. He's got that pace and that quality. So I think it was always going to be Hibs getting Martin Boyle back was huge for them. And when he came on, as I said, I knew he would have an impact. I'd hoped Hearts might get another goal before that, but it didn't happen. But fair play to Boyle. He's come back. He's got the goal. Hibs have got the point. You know, as for Hearts, they've now got 4 points after 2 games. So it's been a decent start for Lee Johnson. And I think, as I said, Hibs will get better. I think Hearts will get better as well. I would like to see us start games a little bit better than that. But as I said on Friday, I'm pleased with where Hearts are just now. And I think Hibs will have a very good season this season. I really do.
We're here until 5 o'clock. You're watching us on Independence Live, or else you're listening to us on Indie Live Radio. This is The Locker Room with Mike McCune, Dave Smith, and Graham Duffy till 5 o'clock tonight. You can comment on anything that you're talking about, especially that big dabber to get the Capico. The Locker Room Indie Live, Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. And don't forget, we've just signed up to Facebook as well. So post a comment on Facebook and you can, we're here every Friday between 5 and 7 and Sunday 3 till 5 after the game. We're talking about the big Edinburgh derby today. We finished Hibs 1, Hearts 1. let's just speak about Lauren Shankland, Graham, because I've been quite impressed with him, not only because he scored 2 goals for your beloved Hearts, but Dundee United as well, and Scotland. So that's going to be a big signing this season.
Yeah, I'm honestly, he's the signing I was most happy with getting Shankland done, because I said already to Barry Anderson, we've missed a real natural finisher. And again, I thought today he led the line really well. I thought he gave Bashiri and Poachers a really hard time, and his work rate was fantastic. And I was really impressed with him. And I really liked his goal as well. As I said, it's a great touch, great finish. And that's what we lack, that bit of composure in front of the goal. And I thought he was very, very impressive. I know there's a lot of folks said, Shankland's a championship striker. I personally don't agree with that. I never have. Even if he didn't come to Hearts, if he'd gone to Hibs, Aberdeen United, whoever, I would have said he's a very good signing. So I'm very, very pleased that we've got Lauren Shankland. I think he's the piece that we've missed. I would have loved to have got Ellis Sims back, but as Barry Anderson said, his wages were going to be a stumbling block. And of course, Ellis Sims scores twice for Sunderland yesterday. Whoopee. That was going to happen, wasn't it? But no, I'm just delighted to see Lauren Shankland there. And I think if we can get in the service, he will score goals. And I'm going to say, I think I said last week, I think he will get between 15 and 20 goals. I really do. I think he's such a very, very good striker. And if we can get him service, he will score goals. And I was really impressed with how we led the line today. And there's more to come. He's getting to know his teammates. He's getting to know the style of play. And there's more to come for Shankland. But I'm very, very impressed with him so far.
One man I thought was very quiet today from a Hearts point of view is Alan Forrest.
Yeah, I thought first half he worked really hard, but it was difficult for him to get involved in the game. I thought Hibs defended very well. They pressed us really hard. But his work rate was good. I thought he worked really hard back the way, but there wasn't a lot going forward. And I wasn't surprised he got taken off. But that's the thing I would say. For me, to take off Alan Forrest, they should have brought in Josh Ginnelly. I thought the subs were very defensive, and I've seen a lot of Hearts fans raging about that. And I do agree. I think the subs were very defensive. He should have really got to try and win the game. But I think Forrest will get better. As long as he has that work rate, which he does, I'm happy with him. And I thought he did a lot of good work defensively today, but going forward, it was the same with Liam Boyce and Barry Mackay in the first half. I didn't really have a lot of the ball, but second half, we were better, but Forrest was a little bit isolated. He didn't really do a lot. But I was happy with his work rate, and he'll get better. There's no doubt about that. I'm actually quite pleased that we've got Forrest in, and I think he will get better and he will score goals. You look at the goal last week that he got against Ross County, a really good goal. So he will add a lot to this Hearts team, but I thought today he was very quiet.
Yeah, I suppose I might be a bit harsh on him because it's the second game of the season and he's in a new team as well,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's only the second game of the season. There's a long way to go. And I think he signed a 3-year contract. He will get better. And like Shankland, once he gets to know his teammates, once he gets to know the runs to make, once he gets to know what players do, I think he'll be absolutely fine. But I'm very pleased with that signing. The one thing I would say is I would like Hearts to add a bit more pace up front. I said it on Twitter earlier that I think I like Shankland, I like Boyce, but the one thing we don't have is that pace up front. You can play the ball over the top like Hibs were doing to Ellie Yuan, or you can play the ball at the channel. We don't really have that. Shankland works really hard, but he's not got the pace to go in behind. If we can sort that out, then I think I'll be more than happy with that. But where Hearts are just now, as I said, after 2 games, 4 points, I'm happy with how things are going. We've got European games to look forward to. So, yeah, I think Hearts are in a good place just now. And I will say, as I said earlier, I'm not going to be biased. I think Hibs will have a very good season this season.
There we go. Hearts 1, Hibs 1. If you want to comment on anything, you can comment on Twitter. We're at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. And you can comment on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. So that was the first Edinburgh derby of the season. It was the German Tarts 1, Hibs 1. Okay, let's go back to yesterday's games, Dave, and let's start with your team, Aberdeen. A good 3 points for them yesterday, and I think it was, I know it's the second game of the season, but I think I saw one of the goals of the season in that game. Aberdeen 1, St Mirren 4. Aberdeen 4, St Mirren 1.
I think you're on mute, Dave.
Yep.
Indeed. That's what I get for being too sleepy. Sorry. Good 3 points for Aberdeen. Jim Goodwin. Good to see him get a good start in the league. Obviously, Celtic was to an extent a bit of a free hit, but that's a terminology I don't like using in football terms. But I think it was good from Aberdeen point of view to be back up and running, and good 3 points. Good for Duck to break his duck. You see what I try to do there, but good for Duck
Quack,
to
quack. Sorry.
and then obviously you've got a wee bit of a quack as you lately touched upon there, Michael. So good positive all round from his point of view. Miovski netting a double. That's pretty good goal from his point of view because Miovski will be keen to go and score goals in Aberdeen shirt this year. He obviously scored against Raith Rovers, but I'll be honest by saying that it's the league's the bread and butter, and that's where Miovski should be scoring goals. So pretty good goal. Sorry. Leighton Clarkson obviously with that goal this season contender already. Fantastic strike, and Benjamin Palmer from the Times rightly put it that if it wasn't for the back of the net, it would have been end up in Aberdeen Harbour. That just goes to show you. But no, fantastic strike, and no chance for Clarkson in this winning goal. Absolutely fantastic finish, and good 3 points. Game time for players, and that's obviously a good thing as well. So, a lot of positives. Obviously, another positive, but it's not really. Well, it is in the football side, but it was Declan Gallagher getting sent off because obviously after comments he's made about Aberdeen, I don't think he's well linked around the Red Army right now. So, it was pretty good from that old point of view because Declan Gallagher's a player that he has potential. Like, misdemeanors just got the better of him, and that's probably why he's not progressed in the way he'd have wanted to. So that's been majorly disappointing. Obviously, St scored a penalty through a younger. Doing a younger. You signed him from Kenya. We used to play for Morecambe, and he's a player that doesn't score a lot of goals, but 1 goal in 2 games for St Mirren is not a bad feat at all. So, in terms of that, 5 goals, well worth the entry fee for Aberdeen St Mirren fans. Obviously, with living costs and everything these days, it's £28. I went away for an adult going to 10 just today, but 5 goals kind of makes up for it to an extent. I did see images on social media about a St Mirren supporters bus being hit. It's allegations. It's not. There is obviously images on social media, but what happened, how it happened, what was the transcript behind it happening, it would all be allegations as far as I'm concerned. But if the Aberdeen fans have been involved in terms of attacking the St Mirren supporters bus, then it's majorly disappointing. But apart from that, on the park, good 3 points for Aberdeen. But you've got to worry about St Mirren, I think, to an extent, because St Mirren haven't had the best starts of the season. Stephen Robinson experiment isn't working. They didn't qualify in the Premier Sports Cup group, and they lost to Motherwell last weekend and beaten handsomely by Aberdeen yesterday. So a lot of questions and a lot of answers to be filled at St Mirren. But for Aberdeen, good 3 points.
Do you know what, Dave? I actually thought Declan Gallagher was very lucky not to be sent off for the first challenge. He raked his studs down Coles's ankle. I thought that was a dangerous challenge. He was lucky not to get sent off for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Honestly, I've not really had much of an opportunity to watch the game back. But in terms of that, he is an aggressive type of player. He can be arrogant as well. I'm not surprised that he could potentially be getting sent off for challenges that we obviously didn't get repercussions for. But glad to see glad to see he actually got sent off in the end for the challenge for the penalty. So good deal already if you're an Aberdeen fan.
Yeah, and also Jim Goodwin said after the game that he believed that Aberdeen could have won the game by 6 or 7 goals. We only saw the highlights last night, Dave, but they looked on fire yesterday.
Yeah, the side that plays on the front foot under Jim Goodwin. When the players Goodwin is brought in, there are side that are going to be playing on the front foot, and I think that's a good thing from an Aberdeen point of view. And it's a type of philosophy that Goodwin plays. He is good in terms of getting players on the front foot. He's quite a direct type of coach. I was at a Raith Rovers game a fortnight ago, And I'm being honest, if you're in the press box or if you're in any part of the stand, you get a little wee bits of recollections about what the manager is doing or what players are doing. I was in the main stand that day for the worst game a fortnight ago, and I was looking at Goodwin with close proximity, intrigued to see what he was doing. He was on the players all the time. It was, come on, let's do more, or Ross, we need to get forward more. He had them well drilled, and I think that's a good thing to have. As for Stephen Robinson, he's had one good season as far as I'm concerned. I think he's had one good season at Motherwell, and that was the COVID plagued season where the league got shut down early due to COVID. And yeah, apart from that, I think the stats are showing that it simply hasn't been a good experiment working in Scottish football, because you knew it relegated Motherwell, and with St Mirren, they went backwards. So majorly disappointed for the buddies.
What I would say about Aberdeen is I was as a Liverpool fan as well. I watch a lot of Liverpool TV. I have watched a lot of under-23 games, and Leighton Clarkson is a very, very good player. He's very creative. He likes to dominate games. He likes to drive forward. And that goal like yesterday was an absolutely fantastic finish. I think that's a very good sign for Aberdeen. I really do.
And I know we're only 2 games into the season, but I would say that's one of the goals of the season. And then I would put that in so far. 34 minutes gone, still Dundee United now, Livingston now. Dundee United is dominating this game, but as you would imagine, Livingston is defending for their life, so only a matter of time for a United goal. Humble Pie might come back and bite me in the face very soon, but it's still 0-0 in this game. As I'm speaking, Livingston are coming forward, but their shot is wide and a goal kick. Thank goodness Livingston never scored. The what an embarrassment that would have been. So, so that was Aberdeen 4, St Mirren 1. Let's go on to speak about the second game today at Fir Park. They were all, people was all saying, oh, Motherwell might get a new manager appointed after this game, but they get beat 2-1 at home. Disappointing again, Graham.
Yeah, I said on Friday, I'm worried for St Johnstone. I'm not going to change my opinion. I still think they might be in trouble, but that's a huge win for them. Again, I thought St Johnstone probably just about edged it. What a way to win the game, They conceded the last minute. They conceded an equaliser in the 91st minute through a Graham Carey own goal, and then win the game in the 94th minute through Stevie May. It was a bit of a bonkers finish, but I think St Johnstone probably did enough to win that game. Motherwell, again, they were very, very poor. Again, they don't really create too much. I said on Friday to Barry Anderson and that, I think they rely far too much on Kevin Van Veen. And again, yesterday, I thought he was probably the only real threat. But, I mean, I don't know what Motherwell were going to do this season. I really don't. I thought they were very, very sloppy at times, and they'll be gutted to lose that last-minute goal. There's a lot of Motherwell fans are not really massive fans of Graham Alexander, and that's not going to help after yesterday. And as I said, I think last week, they were lucky to beat St Mirren. St Mirren should have won that game or at least got something out of that game. So I don't know what Motherwell are going to do this season, but that's a huge 3 points for Callum Davidson. I'm not going to change my opinion. I do still think they'll be in trouble this season, but what a massive 3 points. And for Stevie May, who we talked about Friday as well, for him to get that goal in the last minute is huge. And you've got to hope that St Johnstone will build on that now. But, I mean, honestly, Motherwell looking a lot of trouble so far. After that result against Sligo Rovers in the European games, they look very, very poor.
After the game, the interim manager, Stephen Hamill, says that Motherwell squad needs time and a lot of work. Sadly, Graham, you don't get a lot of time.
No, you don't. And results like that don't help. You think you've maybe got a draw and then you lose the game in the last few minutes. It's a massive blow for Motherwell.
94 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, Reagan was talking about this on Friday. Like, would you give the jobs to Stevie Hamill? I don't think I would. I think he's a very, very good coach. Whether he could be a proper manager at the moment, I don't think that's the type of guy Motherwell want. I think they need more experience in there. And as Reagan rightly said, is he going to have a understanding of the transfer window? Again, I don't think he will. So I think Motherwell need to get a proper manager in as soon as they can. Look at the squad that he's got, look at what he needs, and bring in the signings that he needs. Because I don't see what they're going to do this season. They were very, very lucky to finish top 6 last season. They were very lucky at European football, which they're now out of. So I think Motherwell could have a very difficult season. And who takes that job? I don't know. Is it a risk appointing Stephen Hamill? I think it would be.
After the game, the Callum Gavison manager said, first half we were really good. Second half we were very sloppy. But he's delighted to win the game at the end of the day, and also away from home as well, Graham.
100%, and I think as well, it was such a huge result for St Johnstone. They needed to win that game, and I think as well, I don't think they create a lot of chances, and especially the fact that an ex-Motherwell player, Jamie Murphy, scored the St Johnstone first goal as well. That must have been a kick in the teeth for Motherwell fans, but. I mean, it's such a massive win for St Johnstone. They needed that. I think they would have disappointed last week. I think Hibs deserved to win the game, but the way they conceded the goal was disappointing. So to win that game late on, and I think you have to give St Johnstone credit because you think they've lost a last-minute goal, an equaliser. You think, right, we'll take the draw, but they've not. They've gone and won the game. So that's a really good attitude to have. They've gone and won the game. It's a massive, massive win for Callum Davidson. He needed that, and we spoke last season about. Could Callum Davidson be sacked? And you think he's won 2 cups, finished top 6 the season before. It sounds madness, but it's a results-driven business, and he's not been getting them. That is a huge result for them, and I think they needed that. So, as with Hibs today getting that draw, can now St Johnstone build on that? We'll have to wait and see. But I think they need more strength and depth. They don't have enough up front for me.
Well, you were saying about if St Johnstone can build on that, Graham, but they go to Ibrox next week against Rangers, and you would think that's not going to be an easy game. Also, Motherwell goes to Aberdeen next weekend, and that's not going to be an easy game either.
Okay, so can St Johnstone build after Ibrox is what I meant. I mean,
2 weeks' time.
Aye. Two massive games, but listen, St Johnstone won't take anything next week unless they get a little bit lucky. You never know, it could happen. I doubt it, but I just think for Callum Davidson, you could listen to him last night on the radio, the pressure that he must have been under, and that just relieved a little bit of that yesterday. It was such a huge win for him, and as I said, to see Stevie May scoring that last-minute goal, and you saw the scenes in the St Johnstone end, they were so happy. So I think they've got to build on something. Maybe not next week, but they've got to take a lot of heart from that. To go to Motherwell to concede such a late goal and then win the game, they have to take something from that. In terms of Motherwell, I really fear for them this season. I really do. They have to get a decent manager, and I think even Stevie Hamill as an assistant might be a decent idea. But for me, I don't think he's a manager in his own right yet. I think they need somebody a bit more experienced above him.
How disappointed were you, Graham? Because obviously, Regan, some of his other quotes after the games, Stevie Hamill says, disappointed could come away with nothing when you get in the position that we were winning 1-0. We should never have lost that game, especially at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Motherwell fans were obviously bouncing after they got the equaliser, and then you think, right, we've at least not lost the game, and then they do go and lose the game. And I think the goals they're conceding are so poor. They're not like they're being cut open. It's defensive mistakes. The goal last night, the second goal yesterday, it's just the ball's in the box. They don't clear it. It's headed on. Stevie May scores. It's a poor goal to lose. And that's got to be a massive blow for Stevie Hamill. They're losing so many poor goals. If it's a goal like you lose a goal for the 25 yards top corner, you can't do anything about that. That's fine. But they're not. They're conceding daft goals, and that's got to be a frustration for Stevie Hamill.
And I mean, you saw that against the Shamrock Rovers in the second game. First goal was an absolute cracker, but the second goal was a defensive nightmare, you would say.
It was, and look at the first goal as well. In the first game, Bevis McGavie makes a poor mistake. Aidan Keena goes through and scores. It's just defensive mistakes, and you shouldn't be making these at that level. You can understand by losing a goal once with a poor mistake, but it's happening every week now, and that's got to be a frustration. They've got to tighten up defensively. But I will keep on saying this. They need more quality up front because they've only got Kevin Van Veen. I think Connor Shields is a decent player. He did well for Queen of the South in the Championship. I don't really think he's a decent player for the Premiership. They need to sign more quality up front. But again, and I'm not being disrespectful when I say this, but who wants to go to Motherwell? Who wants to go to St Johnstone? It's very difficult to get a decent player and to go to those teams, so it's going to be hard.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the stats at the end of the game. I mean, for a home team to have 2 shots on target the whole game, Graham, and one of these shots on target was a goal from Motherwell.
Yeah, that just sums Motherwell up, doesn't it? They don't really create a lot, and they don't have enough up front. They do still have plenty of time. They've got about 4 weeks yet till the window closes. They have got to strengthen. But my worry would be, as Regan rightly said on Friday, does Stephen Hamill know the transfer market? And I don't know if he does. I think they need a bit more experience in there. But who takes that job? I don't know. Would you give it to... I said to another podcast on Friday, I actually think, and I don't know if he will get it, but I think David Robertson would do a very good job at Motherwell. He's done a great job at Real Kashmir. He's a very, very good manager from what I've seen. He doesn't take any nonsense. So I think a guy like David Robertson, I think he would be a really good appointment. By the way, whether we go down that route, I don't know. But they need to get somebody in. And if you have Stephen Hamill as number 2, then fine. But as a number 1, I'm not convinced at the moment.
I think that's a good shout because, again, I don't think it's all about money getting him across to Scotland. I don't know if he would be on lots of money out in Kashmir. And you're right, when you see that documentary, I don't know if you saw his documentary, Graham, but every second word is F, and, get into him and stuff like that. So, but that's what you need in the manager, a bit of passion, a bit of fight. And, I mean, it doesn't seem that way. I mean, looking at the stats after the game, it shows you how much Murrow is in a bit of boiler, right? 17 fouls to St Johnstone's 9, and that was over 90 minutes as well.
Yeah, I just don't think Motherwell have got enough about them going forward, and I would be worried for them this season. Listen, they might prove me wrong, they might do really well, I don't know, but I would worry for them so far from what I've seen this season. They were very lucky against St Mirren last week. They've lost yesterday, and I think on the back of the Sligo Rovers result, they were a very poor start to the season. They need to get better. And about David Robertson, that documentary was brilliant. I loved I was hooked to it. I thought, what I liked is the fact that the players took to him. They listened to everything he said. They took it all in. And David Robertson's got that passion as a manager, which I really like. He doesn't mince his words, as we know from the documentary.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you want. You want a manager who's just going to say what he thinks. And I think he'd be I don't think Motherwell players would get away with what they've got away with under Graham Alexander and now with Stevie Hamill. So I think a guy like Robertson would do a really good job, but they need to get somebody in because they have had a very, very poor start. And I don't think they'll finish top 6 this season. If they do, fair play. But from what I've seen so far, I don't think they'll finish top 6 this season.
Yeah, I'm a bit like you. I think they'll struggle, actually. And bottom 6, but when a bottom 6, I don't know. But again, football's a fun little games. They could come back in 4 weeks' time and they would be scoring a goal for fun. But I very much doubt it at the moment. And plus, they got off to a very bad start in the season. And you would say, and what an embarrassment for Scottish football.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a shocking 2 legs. The first game at home, you would think they'd be a bit better than that. I know Sligo Rovers have started their season, but to lose to an Irish team, no disrespect to Ireland, but to lose to an Irish team, it's disappointing. And you think, right, they've lost the first game, they'll be better in the second leg. If they get the first goal and they lose the first goal early, and the game's done. It's a massive disappointment. And I saw Motherwell tweet a few days before the game. It's like, Motherwell fans going to Europe, and it's finished already. It's a huge, huge failure. And I don't know where we'll go from here. I don't know if Dave might agree with this, but I really think Motherwell are going to struggle this season. They don't have enough going forward. They don't have enough creativity. And as I keep on saying, they rely far too much on Van Veen. And I just don't think Stevie Hamill is suited to that manager's job. I really don't.
I was actually having a conversation with somebody about this in the pub an hour ago because I went to watch the last bit of the Hibs Hearts game in the pub. We had my dinner there as well. Lovely me up the bob for some free advertising there, man. But yeah, I was speaking about Motherwell to somebody, and they were on about the fact that Stephen Robinson's pretty much inherited his own standpoint on things, but Graham Alexander has taken his own additions, and that's all fine and well, but he hasn't seen enough quality as far as I'm concerned. And you kind of get the feeling that the work that Robinson did was kind of there wasn't much change, and Alexander didn't want to change much. And for me, since Tony Watt left to go and join Dundee United, you could sense and feel immediately afterwards that there was a void to fill in that specific area of the park, and they haven't done that. They've signed some good players, Motherwell. Paul McGinn's a good signing for Motherwell. Liam Kelly, you've got a Scotland goalkeeper in there. You've got some good midfielders. Maybe missing Alan Campbell in terms of his penetration, his stamina, his way about going about the game. Apart from that, you need a striker. Van Veen will not score 20 goals this season for you, and that's going to be the Achilles heel, and it has been the Achilles heel since January, considering the fact that Motherwell have only won 6 games this calendar year.
Just to bring you up to speed in the game at Tallydale's, half time now, Dundee United 0, Livingston 0 in that game, and there's nothing really to write home about after the game in midweek. It's a bit of a come down, and I think that's what we said in the Friday night show, guys, about you go from European football and basically dominating that game to a home game against Livingston. No disrespect to Livingston, but it's equality in that one there. So now at Tallydale's. Let's go down to M8 now. To Ibrox. One man stole the show for Hibs today, Martin Boyle. Another man stole the show at Rangers, Alfredo Morelos, and some hairdo that he's got, Graham. I don't know if you saw it on the highlights. In fact, you couldn't miss it, to be quite honest with you. He came on, he scored the goal. Again, we're going to speak about the European game on Tuesday night because I think he would be the difference between Rangers going out of the Champions League to Rangers going through to the next round. Let's speak about the game first. Rangers 2, Kilmarnock 0. Again, I only saw the highlights. It looked as though Rangers were on top for the whole game. Disappointing Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I mean, Rangers deserved to win the game. They were very frustrated by Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock defended very well. They defended very deep. I thought they played a masterstroke because Kyle Lafferty defended Stephen Davis very well. Every time Davis was going to get the ball, Lafferty was there. I thought Kilmarnock defended very well and really limited Rangers to a lot of chances. And Rangers were frustrated in the first half, and they had 73% possession, but they didn't really do a lot with it. But once they got the first goal through Kolak, it was pretty much game over. Kilmarnock didn't really have a lot of threat. And of course, Morelos comes on and Morelos does what he does. I think a lot of folk thought he was offside, but he wasn't. He was onside. And it's a simple finish and that cracking hairdo he's got. But it was I would say it was a straightforward win for Rangers because they had a lot of the ball, but didn't really create a lot. But they deserved to win the game. There's no doubt about that. But I think you have to give Kilmarnock credit. They've gone to Ibrox, defended very well. They had a few moments in the game, but nothing really major to trouble Rangers. But it's a very, very good win for Rangers. 2 wins out of 2. They'll be delighted with that. And I just think having Morelos back ahead of that European game is absolutely huge because it's going to be a massive game on Tuesday. And I would be very surprised if Morelos doesn't start that game.
Dave, you wouldn't be surprised. Well, I don't know. Morelos came on, and it was only going to be written in the stars that he was going to get a goal, or it turns out yesterday the one goal for Rangers and another 3 points.
Yeah, it was good for Morelos to go and score. I mean, they've obviously got a bit more attacking options this season, Rangers, so it kind of does put Morelos under pressure to an extent. Kovac, I think, will be a big player for Rangers this year, and Morelos obviously has his own part to play as well. I think he's going to be big for Rangers on Tuesday night. And for me, I think the most important thing from a Rangers point of view was getting the 3 points yesterday. It didn't matter how beautiful or how tough it was going to be, it was all about getting 3 points, and they did that. The league's ultimately the bread and butter for Rangers because slip up yesterday and slip up on Tuesday, and it wouldn't be panic stations as such, but there would be a lot of what we're going to get next year. So in terms of Rangers, good 3 points and obviously a good 2-0 win, clean sheet as well against a good Kilmarnock side, but also I'd also argue the case that a lot of people are expecting Kilmarnock to be within the periphery of the top 6 this season. But at the same time as well, you can tell that they need a kind of laugher to fit and find every week. I also think they need extra additions as well. Ash Taylor does get his culprits. He does annoy a few people, does frustrate a few people. But he is good in terms of the way he plays the game. Of course, as well, but you've got Ollie Shaw up front for Kilmarnock. Good striker. Won't score enough goals though, and that's the Achilles heel and the stumbling block for Ollie Shaw's point of view. So that's why they need a kind of laugh at it, fit and firing. He's a player that loves playing Scottish football. He's tried it in Italy, he's tried it abroad, he's tried it in England, just hasn't worked for him. He's been at Rangers, Hearts, and Kilmarnock respectively, and hit the onion bag continuously at those clubs, and will continue to do so for the rest of the season at Kilmarnock. And he's a big player for Derek McInnes this season, but yeah, you do wonder what's next for Kilmarnock. They've got Celtic at Rugby Park Sunday. For me, it would be if Celtic do go to Ayrshire and win, you look at Kilmarnock and go, I know you've had a tough start to the season, Kilmarnock, but you would be looking at that and going, it's been a harsh and brutal start to the season. So, for Kilmarnock's point of view, a lot to learn, a lot to develop, and a lot to sort out in a short space of time. For Rangers, a good 3 points, and obviously turns to Tuesday. As for Tuesday's game against Union, I'll not pronounce it, but as for Tuesday's game, they just need to get an impetus in the game. They just need to get an early goal and kind of make a statement, because Rangers were renowned last season for putting in impressive home displays in order to go win these games. And Tuesday it'll be a big game. They need a sell at Ibrox, and then they obviously need 11 Lions on the pitch to go and win that game. So good win yesterday, but tension turns to Tuesday now.
Graham, I'm going to come back to speak about Dave's point in a minute about Celtic head down there on Sunday at 12 o'clock. But the Derek McInnes quotes after the game said that we had some good moments, but unfortunately for us, not enough. You have to say Rangers deserve to win. I suppose you can't really rig in too much to come out, because they're only the new boys back in the SPA, the kind of big boys league.
Yeah, I mean, Kilmarnock season's not going to be defined by going to places like Ibrox and Celtic Park and Tynecastle and Easter Road and stuff. Anything they got last night was going to be a bonus, and they didn't really create a lot. As I said, they had a few fleeting moments, but nothing major. Take away from Ibrox with a 2-0 defeat. Yeah, they've lost the game, but I don't think I'll be that upset about it. They defended very, very well, and I think they've got enough to be a decent side this season. Again, I don't know if they'll finish top 6, but I think McInnes is an experienced manager. He'll get a lot of that Kilmarnock side, and I think they'll probably strengthen more in the window. So I think he'll be disappointed they've lost yesterday, but it's not a massive, massive blow. So I think they'll be fine this season. But in terms of Rangers, I think going into that game on Tuesday, they had to win that game, and especially the fact that Celtic won as well. That was a massive 3 points for them, because if Celtic had won and Rangers had dropped points, that's already a massive blow for them. So it's huge that Rangers get 3 points. That's all that matters. But I think it'll be a decent title race this season, I think, and I think this could go to the wire. But I think Kilmarnock have got enough to be fine this season.
Van Bronckhorst says after the game, his quotes were we were very pleased. It's always a tough game when you play against an opponent who makes it difficult for you to create chances and spaces. Now, I suppose when you look at his quotes, I think if you come back and look at Van Bronckhorst's quotes in 5 weeks' time, he'll say the same kind of thing, because when teams with Scotty Ibrox and Parkhead, they always park the bus, Dave, and it's difficult for Rangers or Celtic to break them down. Dave's on mute again. That's
Sorry.
the second time.
I'm getting good with these things, isn't it? It shows how quiet I am. It's obviously a Sunday. Yeah, Kilmarnock are usually accustomed to being a side that aren't exactly open and expansive. They're a side that will play in the front foot when they can. They're a side that will play with a purpose, but they're also a side that will park the bus, especially if they're playing a side like a Celtic or Rangers. Now, Graham's a big argumentative guy when it comes to Robbie Nielsen's style of football at times at Hearts. You could argue the exact same for Derek McInnes at Kilmarnock. You could argue that Kilmarnock have a lot of potential to be on the periphery of the top six. But their stumbling block is perhaps being too isolated and being too compact when they play a so-called higher calibre of opponent. I know from an Aberdeen persuasion that was the biggest issue regarding Derek McInnes. It was the fact that, especially against Rangers, there were a lot of times where Aberdeen would just be isolated and not exactly show the potential that they were capable of, and would end up losing the game despite the opposition being there for the taking. Same with Celtic to an extent as well. So Derek McInnes enjoyed a better record at Aberdeen against Celtic. Yeah, in terms of Kilmarnock, they're going to be organised. They're going to be disciplined, and that's all by Derek McInnes' style team.
Yeah, and I just wanted to pick something up, Dave, like you said that about Celtic game against Kilmarnock next weekend. Even though Kilmarnock's been out the top league for a wee while, Celtic's always find it difficult down there, and plus that it'll be the first test that Celtic will come up against Thistle Park next week at Rugby Park.
Yeah, it'll be intriguing. It'll be a good game for the neutral, especially with the game being live in the telly. We'll obviously be able to speak about it at 3 o'clock at Sunday afternoon, just to give you a wee shout out there. But in terms of this one, it'll be a good barometer to see where Celtic are at, first and foremost, because obviously it's a synthetic surface, so it'll be a good barometer for them, but also a good barometer for Kilmarnock as well, because Kilmarnock's season will be defined against Celtic and Rangers, but ultimately as well, you've got to be doing well against your Mirrans and your Motherwells and your probably Aberdeens and your Hibses and Livingston. That's where they're going to be defined more than anything else. And yeah, I do think that Kilmarnock have a lot of potential, but they just have to make that potential count. One player that stood out for me, having watched Kilmarnock in the flesh and pre-season, I can understand this, is Kyle McInroy on loan from Celtic. I almost from Celtic. He's a player that gets forward. He's a ball-winning player. He's got everything you would ask for in a midfielder. And I think he's going to be a big player for Kilmarnock this year. He was out of Warwick Air last season and did very, very well in the Championship last season. And he'll go up to Kilmarnock with a lot of confidence. And he's exactly the type of player that Kilmarnock are looking for. But next Sunday, it's going to be a good test for both sides. That
So I'm just going to make a point about Hearts here on the back of that 1-1 draw against Hibs today, right? So I've had to look at Twitter earlier on, and I'm going to try and be balanced here in what I say because I don't want to be negative, but I've seen a few Hearts fans saying Robbie Nielsen out after that because he's far too negative. Now, what I will say is I thought their subs were wrong. I thought bringing on Atkinson, Civic and Halliday was the wrong idea. I would have brought on Ginnelly and maybe even Henderson to put a bit more pace up front. But, as I said earlier, if Barry Mackay scores that chance after Shanklin's shot is saved by Marshall, we win the game. So I think to say Robbie out after 2 games when we've had 4 points, I think is very, very harsh. Now, Robbie's record at Easter Road is not great. He's not won yet. We could have won today. We haven't. But you've got to look at the bigger picture. We're in European football. Last season, we got to the Scottish Cup final. We finished third. We're in Europe. I think I've been critical of Robbie Neilson myself, but I think to criticise him after 2 games in a game that we could have won if we'd taken our chances, I think to say Robbie Neilson out is very, very harsh, and I'm not going to go down that route. Yes, there are times that he maybe is a little bit too cautious, but I thought today, as I said, if we take our chances, win the game, Hibs get that goal right at the end, we could have won the game. But I think for any Hearts fan to say right now, Neilson out is ridiculous.
I mean, Hearts have a big game against FC Zurich or Linfield coming up. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, Hearts have a lot of potential here. Yeah, today was mightily disappointing, but then this discussion's not happening if Hearts see the game out and Boyle doesn't score the equaliser the way he did. For me, it was just poor defending. Robbie'd also got everything else to plan. Yeah, maybe he's a little bit more laboured in his approach. Maybe he's a little bit more steady in his approach. But I think Hearts would take what they achieved last season every day of the week, which was European football and a place in the Scottish Cup final. Maybe the latter didn't end in the way they wanted it to. But Hearts are going places under Neilson, and I think that needs to be applauded.
1-0 Livingston.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. Yeah.
Who scored for Livy?
Montana. Or Montano, I should say.
Montana, why?
Montana, 48 minutes gone, 1-0 to Livingston. Spoiled the party, as it were, at Tallyguys. I'm just looking at the goal. A brilliant strike, about 25 yards out from goal. And David Martindale is hugging Reagan on the touchline as we speak. So, well done to the Reagan fan club up there. Livy to win the Scottish Cup. Going back to your point there, Graham. Football fans are very fickle at times as well, aren't they? Because like they said away last season, Robbie Neilson out, even though they he got him into the Scottish Cup final. Okay, they were disappointing, top 6. But fans are never happy. You see that about players as well at football clubs. No matter what they do, and I bet you some Heart fans would be itching for Hibs to score today at the last minute of the game just so that they can say Robbie Neilson out. I think it's a bit unfair.
Do you know what? That's a brilliant point you made, actually. That's a very, very good point you've just made there. I think there are some Hearts fans that think that, and it's shocking, it really is. But I think even one of my friends messaged me earlier to say Robbie Neilson's far too negative. We didn't win that game because of Robbie Neilson. I disagree, as I keep on saying this. If Barry Mackay scores that chance, we win the game 2-0 or 2-1. We don't draw that game. Robbie Neilson can't run on the pitch and score the goal. The players have to take responsibility for that. Yes, the subs were maybe a little bit negative, but if we defend the last minute better than we did, we see the game out, we win 1-0. Nobody complains. So I think Robbie does get a lot of stick, but I think, today's a draw, take it on the chin, move on. But to say Robbie Neilson out after that, it is ridiculous.
Tony Watt missed a brilliant chance there to make it 1-8. Good save by the Livingston goalkeeper, corner kick to Dundee United. So still 1-0 to Reagan's team, Livingston, as the corner kick comes in, and no, Livingston, the keeper scored it. So still 1-0 to Livingston. Yeah, football fans are very fickle at times, Graham, and I would imagine that most of the Hearts fans would be wishing, well, I hate to say this, but maybe wishing that Hearts would get beat today, just so that they can come out and criticise Neilson.
You don't want to lose a derby. That's the one game you don't want to lose. But there'll be a lot of Hearts fans going for that game thinking, Robbie Neilson, absolutely awful, shocking tactics. But it's the disappointment of losing the goal in the last minute the way it happened. If we defend it better, if Halkett defends it better, stops the cross, if Sibic isn't ball watching, we don't draw that game. So the players have got to take a lot of the blame for that last minute goal. But, to say that Robbie Neilson should be sacked, I've been a massive critic of Robbie myself. I said he should have got sacked after the Brora game, but he's turned it round. We've got third place European football, Scottish Cup final. He's done a very, very good job. Yes, his record at Easter Road isn't great, but we're now 7 derby games unbeaten. I'll take that every day of the week. We move on. We've got United next week at home, a game that we should be looking to win. But it's far, far too early to be criticising Robin Nielsen because of one game. I mean, get a grip, seriously.
And I mean, I think, like, I know that we spoke about this on the show last season, at the end of last season, Graham. I mean, I think Robbie Nielsen done a brilliant job there by being back in the Big Boys League, by making top 6, by getting to the final. Okay, Hearts were a bit disappointing, but if you say to you or any of the other Hearts fans, by the way, you'll make top 6, you'll get into a final, you would be delighted with that, with your first season back.
Of course I would. I was delighted last season. Yeah, the final was disappointing. I thought Hearts could have done a bit better, but you're against a very, very good Rangers side. It's not a massive disappointment, but he's done a very good job. The signings have been very impressive. We heard from Barry on Friday that hopefully the 2 or 3 more signings to come in. I think a bit more pace up front would help. Another midfielder, preferably creatively, would do. But I think we're in a very good place just now. I think we look very, very strong. And the team today, I was happy with that. I thought the team lineup was good. That's what I wanted, 4-2-3-1 with the players in the right position. But when you don't win because of a last-minute goal, you're going to be disappointed. But I think to be saying Robin Nielsen should be sacked after that, it's a frustration, but it's ridiculous of you. There's a long, long way to go. There's a lot to look forward to as a Hearts fan this season. Those European games against probably Zurich at the moment are going to be so exciting to see. So, yeah, I think it's ridiculous to say Robin Nielsen should be sacked after today.
Let's look at the last game of the Premiership yesterday, Dave, and it was a furthest away game, actually, up in the Highlands. Ross County won, Celtic 3. Celtic dominated the first half, as you would expect. Ross County came into the game with a quick goal in the second half, and then in the last 15 minutes, Celtic scored twice, 3 points back down the road for Andrei Postecoglou. What do you make of this game? There you go. Dave's got a hat trick of putting himself in mute. Well done, Dave.
Well, somebody needs a hat trick on a Sunday, Michael. No hat trick for Martin Boyle, no hat trick for Lord Shanklin. Hat trick for Dave Smith. Thank you very much. Right.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you, good night. Good few points for Celtic. Dingwall's been renowned for being a hard place for teams. Marky Mackay's used the Global Energy Stadium, as they call it now, as a fortress, and teams have found it very, very hard there. And it's never been easy for any team. Celtic last season had to go up to Dingwall a couple of times and get late winners to go and get wins, and that's probably important in terms of the outcomes in the season for Celtic in terms of winning the league and all that kind of stuff. So there is that side to it. Alongside that as well, good 3 points, of course. And yeah, they got the ball rolling. Good goal. Yakoviti levelled, and you do wonder, could County get something from the game? But the new boy, Moritz Jens, I'm trying to get his name here, Moritz Jens, dream come true, because it was his Celtic debut, and an impressive debut all the same for Moritz Jens, and very, very good display from him. And what I would say as well, gentlemen, is obviously this game is at 3 o'clock yesterday. I think it shows it's a good effort for Scottish football, because you don't want Scottish football getting ingrained into the armchair society as such. You want people going out to games and all that kind of stuff, and you'd probably have enticed a lot more people to go out to a game like that yesterday, because it was at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, compared to if that was like a lunchtime game today, or a 12:45 game yesterday. So I think it's quite good in that way. And obviously, Celtic fans came up in their numbers, and as expected, and as always, the road the team onto victory and shouted and support the team throughout the whole game. And yeah, he was an unlikely hero, Moritz Jens, but good for him to score a good 3 points for Celtic. That's Ross County. That's a tough one to take for Marky Mackay. They played well, Ross County. That's 2 defeats, and it's not concerning. I think there's a lot of work to be done there. Hearts at Tynecastle is always going to be tough, of course. And then obviously, from the Ross County point of view, you're never going to be defined on games against Celtic. So, yeah, in terms of this for Ross County, they'll be looking forward to the so-called easier games, and they'll be able to stamp their own authority on them games and hopefully come away with something out of those games. Because that was the thing. Ross County had a dreadful start to last season, and then they went and humped Dundee 5-0 at Dens Park, and that was a springboard for their season, because it was like a trampoline where you beat Dundee 5-0 and you jump, and then you start getting these wins again. And Malky Mackay is due a win, I think. And whenever he gets it, he'll be obviously in a good place. But when you look at it, Ross County have lost Regan Charles Cook, they've lost Joseph Humble, and they're still competitive against Celtic. And I don't think Ross County have properly gelled, in my opinion, yet. I still think there's a lot more work to do. And that's got to be the disappointing thing for me. You'd have liked Malky Mackay to have recruited in certain areas, because obviously they had to replace the two players before mentioned. But you'd have liked him to have not brought in as much players as he has. He's obviously loaned out a few local talents to like some Montrose and Matthew Wright and McKinnon. For me, I think Matthew Wright deserved a chance in the Ross County first team. If you remember, he scored the equaliser in the 90th minute against Rangers back in January. And for me, I think he was the type of player that could have been useful for Ross County this season. But Malky Mackay has his own reasons, obviously. They can understand to an extent why he's went out alone. But from a Montrose point of view, they've obviously made a great start in that regard, because they've signed Rory McAllister, the two players from Ross County, and Montrose have had two solid points against Falkirk and Queen of South, and Montrose obviously Mr. Pelly. But back at Ross County, a lot to learn, and 3 points needed as soon as possible.
Just to update you on things at Tallydale's then. 59 minutes gone on the clock. Still Livingston making it difficult for Dundee United. Livy is winning by 1-0. Malcolm Mackay says after the game yesterday, we were really pleased with the game plan, and the players stuck to it. I don't Celtic broke us down too many times. There's a lot to be looking positively at for us in the coming weeks. Dave, just to pick you up on the point there that you made about Celtic always find it difficult to get up to Ross County. Do you think it's because the surroundings are difficult in terms of it's a wee stadium, and I wouldn't say wee park because the parks are the same kind of size, but you know what I mean. That the surroundings are different compared to say Parkhead, Ibrox, or even Tynecastle.
Yeah, apologies for your background noise. I'm just putting it on mute. I was just putting on the Celtic women's game. Oh, great chance. Can we make it 2 here? Hold on. No, I thought Celtic women had a great chance there just now. I could have been giving you scores in the doors there. No, back on your point. Celtic have went to stadiums such as Tannadice, such as Dingwall, such as Pittodrie, and they've never had an easy game. There's a difference between playing teams away from home and playing games at Celtic Park. When you go to Dingwall, Dundee, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Livingston, it's a cup final for these teams. They want to, because 9 times out of 10, these games will be shown on live television, and they'll be looking to use this game to, first and foremost, market themselves as a football club. Secondly, produce a big result in order for them to gauge the interest of the nation and gauge the interest of fans across the globe. So, for me, Celtic have struggled at Dingwall, but Ange Postecoglou's got a 100% record up at Dingwall as well, and I think that needs to be applauded. So, hats off to Ange Postecoglou for doing that. But by the way, it's 1-0 Celtic women, as I alluded to, and I'm actually disappointed that I just switched on about a minute and 20 seconds ago, Michael, because obviously we're only 4 minutes in, and I could have gave you a right good update there, but Celtic women 1-0 ahead here.
Still 1-0 at Talladice. This is good going from women's to men's football. This is what we're all about on a Sunday in the locker room. So David watching the Celtic women's. I'm watching the Dundee United game. Stealing Fletcher masking a good chance there for Dundee United. Still 1-0 to Livy. Graham, Andy Postecoglou says after the game, I'm really happy with the result and the performance. As Dave was saying, it's a difficult place to come, but the players were outstanding and contributed to the game and got a useful 3 points at the start of the season. That's all you can ask for, Graham.
Yeah, and I think Celtic thoroughly deserved to win the game. They were the far better team right throughout. I think, again, like Rangers, they were frustrated in the first half. They had chances, but County defended very well. And then obviously right after the game, right after the restart, second half, Kyogo with a very, very good finish. And you think Celtic will go on to really score 2 or 3. I think it'll be disappointing from the goal they lost from the corner. You know, Alex Jakovic is a very, very good header. But it's a poor goal to lose. But then after that, you know, fair play. Jens gets the goal and Abada gets the third goal. And I think Celtic were the better team. And when you go to these places, it's all about winning. You know, if you're Celtic and Rangers, it's all about winning, and they've done that. So he'll be very pleased with the win. But I think they played well yesterday in patches. And again, I just think Jota is a very, very good player for Celtic. He's such a threat going forward. He's got that trickery, that pace, and that quality. And I think getting him on that long-term contract was huge for Celtic. And I think, you know, in terms of Ross County, again, like with Kilmarnock, their games are not going to be defined by games against Celtic. I thought they performed reasonably well yesterday, but Celtic just have that little bit more quality.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys look at the possession stat, I'm just looking at the stats after the game. 23% Ross County had, Celtic had 77. So that's all you need to say about the game, Graham.
100%. You know, Celtic were the better side. That's a bit against Aberdeen last week, but even against Aberdeen had their chances in that first half. You know, Johnny Hayes has a glorious chance to make it 1-1 and doesn't take it. So there are a bit of frailties there in that Celtic defence, but going forward, they just look so impressive. You know, Kyogo, Maeda, Matt O'Reilly, I think is a very, very good player. They've still got Jack and Marcus to come in, and I think Celtic probably will look to strengthen that forward there a bit more. But Celtic look very, very good. And for me, even at the moment, even this early in the season, I think Celtic at the moment are playing the better football than Rangers, but they're both winning. And that's all you can ask for as a Rangers and Celtic fan.
Exactly. Okay, let's turn our attention to women's football now, Dave, because as Dave has alluded to there, the women's Premiership started today. Just run through the game for you. Glasgow City is playing Spartans. Graham's beloved Hearts is at home to Packet Thistle. Dundee United is at home tomorrow. Hamilton Accies plays Aberdeen. The game Rangers against Glasgow, and the game Dave is watching. And I don't know if you can give us a wee update in the game, Dave. And what's early stages? Celtic against Hibs.
Yeah, I was making sure I wasn't meat there for the fifth time, but no. So took all the way through Jacinta, really, really good finish, and then a chance to make it 2-0 when I was last on. Good save by the Hibs goalkeeper, and that point, Hibs had a chance that the Celtic goalkeeper to put away, but good game so far here. We're just gone 9 minutes, and it's end to end. Good game of football here, and still 1-0 Celtic, and Hearts have just made it 3-1 at home to Partick Thistle. The current scores in the Women's Premier League is Hearts 3, Partick Thistle 1. I'll get a goal scorer for you in a minute. Tim's. Graham, who's Tim's for Hearts?
Good question. Can't remember.
Anyway, she scored a double for Hearts. Dundee United 1, Motherwell 0. Danny McGinley, ex-Hearts striker, scoring for Dundee United. Hamilton 0, Aberdeen 0. Rangers 3, Glasgow Women 0. Bear in mind, gentlemen, this is only 24 minutes gone, so it could be a long afternoon for Andy on their side. And then, as I previously alluded to, it's Celtic 1, Hibs 0. Good win for Glasgow City earlier on, beating Spartans by 7 goals to 0. I think it's a real statement of intent from Ellen Gleeson, in all honesty, because obviously Glasgow City never hit the strides that they're accustomed to last season. It's a bit of a transition phase for Glasgow City, pardon me, that specific period of time, because Gleeson just came in. They had Grant Scott, but Grant Scott was never going to be the permanent manager at Glasgow City. Glasgow City and Warren Montgomery and Carol Ann Stewart always had their own ambitions in doing things. And Glasgow City have had a good pre-season under Gleeson. And it's a bit like, I was speaking to Claire Gemmell, ex-Rangers midfielder, about this in a podcast. Shout out to Scottish Football Forum's podcast, because we've done an estimate PL preview for the season. Myself, John Blaisdell and Vinnie Ferguson. John is at John's actually at the Hamilton Aberdeen game, and Vinny, I think, is at the Celtic Hibs game, because Vinny's got a relationship place for the Celtic women's team. So, they're all represented at games, and I'm at home speaking to you two beautiful people. So, there you have it. Good lively start to the proceedings. Next to PL1 and some interesting results coming in early doors. There's still a lot of football to be played, of course. The Dundee United goal was having a look before I came on, and the Dundee United goal through Danny McGinley, it was a poor kick out from the Motherwell goalkeeper. I think it's Emily Much. I might be horribly wrong in that part, but obviously with the coverage the women's game gets, I just hope this doesn't get ridiculed. If it's as bad as what.
Sorry, Dave Livingston had a brilliant chance there to make it 2-0. Pac-Man went 1-1 through with the keeper, brilliant save with the United keeper. Sorry, Dave, still 1-0 to Livy.
I can tell you that Georgia Timms has now got a hat trick for Hearts. She's got the third goal in that game. She's a 24-year-old striker who joined from English side Lewes. So that's a hat trick for Georgia Timms.
She's going to be a big player for Hearts this year. 3 goals in her debut. That's some goal, Michael.
To be honest, the biggest thing for me as a Hearts fan was the fact that we lost Claire Delworth to Dundee United. I think Claire Delworth is a very good player. She's a left back, but we didn't extend her contract. She went to United. That was a big loss for me for Hearts women.
Just to bring you up to speak as well, sorry, I know we're talking about the men's game, but Livingston had a brilliant chance, as I said, but just before that, Tony Watt had a brilliant chance to equalise for Dundee United, and just a second later, he committed a foul, so he picked up a yellow card, so maybe a bit of frustration creeping into the United men's team at Tallydale, so still 1-0 to Libby. I must say, it's quite a decent second half. The first half was a bit kind of, maybe Dundee United was still getting over the hangover from first night, but it's quite a kind of open game nowadays, but it's still 1-0 to Libby.
Right, okay. Wait, it's 2-0 Celtic. Let me explain, right? Ball comes in from the wide left, right? And then Ellis Notley practically knees the ball into her own net, right? I'll try, right? Ball goes out wide, player gets in the ball, player crosses it in, and then Notley knees it beyond the goalkeeper into the net, right? I'll try to say this in the most diplomatic way possible, but I'm going to be honest and say, from Ellis Notley's point of view, it is embarrassing. I mean, I'd be saying exactly the same thing if it had been in the men's game as well. I'm not just saying it because of gender before I get absolutely ridiculed about this, but yeah, it's a poor start for the Hibs point of view. But I've been very impressed with the start Celtic have made in this game, and they're too good. And had it not been for a good save after 4 minutes, it would have been 3. So Celtic have made a very, very fast start to this game.
Can I just say, Michael, this was a great idea doing this 3 to 5. We can cover the United game, we can cover women's football. This was a great idea to do this.
Yeah, no, you must have read my mind, Graham, because I was just going to say, isn't it no brilliant day one of the season, and we're covering men's games and women's games as well?
It is. We're getting score updates for Tannadice, we get score updates for women's football. It's brilliant. You know, we always said that we're highlight women's game, and we have done that. We're talking about it just now. I know by the time we come off air, the game's mostly finished, but it's great that the women's game is getting exposure. We're actually getting to see like the live scores coming through, so it's fantastic. We're really delighted with that.
Don't forget we're on till 5 o'clock, and if you want to comment, please comment below on Facebook. on YouTube. And no, we're not going off air before anybody comments on that. Got to get off. But on Twitter as well, at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to see our neighbours, if you want to call it for a better word, Dave, win the Euros. So, but that means more exposure to the men's game. And I'm sure, am I right in thinking that because England won the Euros, the home nation gets a cut of the money as well? Am I right in saying that?
To be perfectly honest with you, Michael, I haven't really read that part in all honesty, but if it does, then it's obviously welcome for the women's game in this country, because the women's game in Scotland is heavily needed investment, and anything less, and we're all crying out for it. And what I will say is, I don't think there's been enough coverage on this repeal this season. BBC are obviously doing their own work, and the BBC have been great in terms of promoting the women's game. But you've got media sites such as Anyone's Game and other sites that have been doing very, very little to preview the season ahead. They've obviously been predicting who's winning the league and everything like that. But apart from that, Scottish Football Forums podcast did that podcast, and it's been very well received. I'd recommend you check out the interview with Amy Muir of Glasgow City, because there's a bit of Scotland chatting there as well. I'm led to believe I was spoken to John Blaisdell that came across really well. So that's obviously good from that whole point of view. But positive there is to repeal one, and good to see women's football back, especially because there's a lot of quality in this league. Maybe it doesn't get the same protections in the men's game, probably because of the style of football between both genders. But irrespective, it's a good quality standard.
Yeah, no, I've got to mention about the Scottish Football Podcast. We must mention that Josh is on as well. And we need to get Mr. Duffy on there, because I know I've been on twice. I don't know about you, Dave. I think you've been on once, have you, or twice?
I've been on twice. I've been on twice.
But we need to get Graham on as well, because he feels a bit kind of left out the way. So I'll speak to John and see if we can get you on as well. I might have to pay him to get you on, because I know you come for big money, Graham, but we'll get that sorted out for you as well. As Dundee United come forward, still trying to break the Livy defence down. Corner kick to United, and Tony Watt still 1-0 to Livy here. This is brilliant.
Sorry, Michael, can I add that I thought it was a massive own goal from Dundee United, not the men's side, but the women's side, kicking off at exactly the same time as the men's team. I think Dundee United would have earned a lot of financial income, but they'd have earned a lot of respect from the men's side, or indeed the men's supporters, had they kicked off at 12:30 today or 12 o'clock. Now I'm led to believe, because I know Arab Trust, who are affiliated with Dundee United Football Club, whatever way they are. I don't know what they actually do, but I do know they contacted the women's Twitter to ask why this game was at 4 o'clock today. Apparently, United women tweeted back saying it was circumstances out of their control, which, if it's for a justifiable reason, then perfectly understandable. But it would have been a great opportunity for Dundee United women to get about 400 or 500 people inside the gate today, whilst I bet there's only about 70 people that will be in that game, and then there'll be about 8,000 people at Tannadice across the road.
Rangers are now 4-0 up against Glasgow women.
There was a big shout for a penalty. Dundee United, Stephen Fletcher get pushed in back, and when I saw the penalty, it was a definite penalty. So I think some clubs would be wishing that VAR would have come into the game 2 weeks ago instead of when Santa comes at Christmas. But 1-0 to Livy. Livy had a brilliant chance there, still 1-0. But so this is live, baby, on the Locker Room. This is the way we're going to do it.
See on VAR. On VAR, Graham. Do you think the Shankland goal would have stood? Because there's a lot of bit of talk about potential Shankland using the arm or the hand.
I think it would have stood. I think it kind of hit his. I think it hit his sleeve. It wasn't his arm. I think it would hit his sleeve. I think it would have been given. It was very tight, but I think it would have been given.
Yeah, No, I think Andy Walker called it right. I
That'll be a
think it,
first.
yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but totally agree with you, Graham. But no, Andy, if you're watching, we love you and blah blah blah. No, I wasn't a kind of penalty. It would have been a bit of a harsh penalty if they gave it, Dave. And I'm not saying that because Graham's here, but it would have been harsh.
Yeah, no, 100%. I just thought about because somebody said on another group chat that I'm on, but Shagwood opens his duck in a Hearts shirt, and Graham Duffy will be a delighted man this evening.
Graham, Dave, where do they play the women's Dundee United's women's home games then?
Gussie Park, it's just across the road from Paradise.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, that's a bit unfair because you would think, or even make the game a bit earlier, as you say, or even later, so that the people in Paradise would go good walk across the road to the women's game.
So there you go, Michael, right? Sandeman Street or Paradise Street in Dundee, whatever you want to call it, there's 3 teams in it. Dundee United, Dundee United's women. So there you go. You're spoiled for choice when it comes to that area of Dundee. But I think it would be a better option had they kicked off the game like 12:30 today, because you've usually got a minimum 500 at that game. Because people go to either the Snug Bar or the pubs that are up the road from Paradise. Is only a 2-minute walk from the pubs to the ground. But also, there'd be a great opportunity to sponsor the women's side of the football club. And let's be honest, it would have been a payday for Dundee Women's Football Club had they done that. I mean, Graham Hart's building solid foundations of that club, and he's doing some fantastic work for the women's team. But you can sense that this has been a marketing own goal.
It's worrying times if you're a Dundee United fan, even though they might score here. When they say there's some men's games still getting me 1-0, Livingston has defended for their life in the second half, and it must be, is that corner? It's the ref has given a goal kick actually, not a corner. So 79 minutes gone, 10 minutes to go in this game. It's still 1-0 to Livy as well. Graham, one thing we are passionate about is advertising football and getting more football on the TV, but the women's football is slightly on the TV, but it's on the red button. But you would like to see the women's football on prime time TV, one of the main channels.
Yeah, definitely. I know BBC Scotland, I think, showed them, and I think BBC Alba as well were showing them as well. But I think the fact that we're doing the show today and we're kind of highlighting the women's game and we're giving you the live scores as they come through, I think it's brilliant. I don't think a lot of other radio channels do that, and we're doing that. So I think that's brilliant. And I think the fact that I think there'll probably be highlights later, I would assume anyway. But it's brilliant to see women's game getting highlighted by ourselves. We've always done that. We did it last season. We'll do it again this season. And to get the women's game on TV again would be absolutely fantastic. But this, for me today, has been brilliant. You know, getting the live reaction is absolutely fantastic.
Dave, do you think that if you were a Dundee United fan, as in men's football, like you would be very disappointed because it's still 1-0 to Livingston with 10 minutes to go?
Yeah, obviously everybody associated with Dundee Football Club, whether you're a staff member, player, manager, everybody associated with that club. You were obviously on a massive high after the first time because it was a sensational victory over AZ Alkmaar. And then 3 days later, you kind of have that feeling that Jack Ross has first night in the back of his mind because they don't have the same intensity, they don't have the same approach, they don't have the same purpose to their players than in the first night. I thought they were brilliant the first night, didn't you? It shows how quickly things can change in football, how things change within a 3-day window. But obviously on the top side, let's no disrespect obviously here because they pushed Rangers very, very close last week. Had it not, Rangers won the game within 90 seconds, within them scoring 2 goals in 90 seconds basically. They won the game in 90 to 110 seconds last weekend. And had it not been for that, Livingston would have gotten something out of that game. Joe Newboy's a big player. Bruce Anderson's a big player. Christian Montaro that scored the goals a big player. So, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by the outcome, in all honesty. But Women's Phillips have a really, really good record in recent times against Dundee United.
Yeah, no.
3-0 Celtic women.
Game over then.
I've got a slow BBC player.
You would think, I mean, obviously it'll be a bit of a disappointing score for Dundee United, but Livingston's a bit like Ross County. They frustrate you no matter where it's home or away, Graham, and it turned out like that today.
Yeah, I think we talked to Fred about the fact that would there be a European hangover? It looks like that might be the case today, and these things happen. There's still time. United could still get level, but Livingston are a very, very difficult side to play against, and they showed against Rangers last week. They were hard to break down, and Joel Newboy was very, very good for them last week. But if Livingston can hold on, that's a huge
No, sorry, just to tell you, Dundee United kick a free kick, Levitt, and it was a waste of a free kick, still 1-0 to Levy, with 9 minutes to go in this game, plus stoppages. The end of the game, and you can actually see fans leaving the game compared to first night, Graham, because they were celebrating at this time.
Yeah, 36 minutes gone. Rangers women 5, Glasgow women 0. So it's a disappointing result so far for Glasgow women. But yeah, I mean, United fans will be disappointed today if they can't get something out of that game. But the European game is huge for them. If they can go to Alkmaar and get a result out of that, it'll be huge. I think it's always when you come down from a massive high, what happened on Thursday, this is a massive low today if they can't get a result out of that game. But I think United have got a lot to look forward to this season. You know, Jack Ross is a very good manager. They signed very well, and I think today will be disappointing, but there's a lot to look forward to for United.
Celtic 2, Hibs now, 25 minutes. 3-0. Right, okay, sorry, yeah, I'm behind. Just ignore me then. 3-0 to 3-0 Celtic. Celtic good score in that game as well. And I'm just watching the closing stages of this Livingston Dundee United game. 6 minutes to go. So this is brilliant game, Graham. This is what we want: the men's football back and the women's football back as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I've loved seeing the football back, and even this weekend, like seeing the English Premiership back as well. Just having football back again is brilliant. We've got the World Cup to come, even though Scotland aren't in it, short corner. But it's just great to see the men's and women's game back. I'm so excited. I'm so glad to be on a Sunday afternoon to talk about these games, and it's just great. I love Highland Scottish football, and it's fantastic.
How's the Commonwealth Games going on, Michael? Because I know a few guys through boxing that know Sam Hickey from Dundee, and he won gold for boxing.
All right, okay, yeah. To be honest with you, I've not really been catching up in the Commonwealth Games today because I've been back-to-back football. But yeah, I mean, I saw Soze from Dundee. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Gigas a gold medal. Yeah.
He won the gold, yeah.
Ah, right, okay. It would be good to get him on the show as well. I know that there's a few Scottish boxers in the final today, or today or tomorrow. The final day is for the boxing.
I don't know. It's just a few guys in the boxing were saying today, but fantastic achievement irrespective. Because I mean, boxing's obviously a high intensity sport. You need to be fit as a peanut, and you need to be on the ball and meticulous in everything you do. So fantastic achievement for Sam Hickey to go win the Commonwealth Games. So there you go, Michael. We've touched on football. We've touched on boxing now.
Yeah, let's go with cricket now. Because I know that's Graham's favourite sport. Because his son's into cricket. There you go. Give him a wee mention. There you go on a Sunday afternoon. You'll be happy, son. So yeah, Hickey won gold. I just saw that in a middleweight final. So that's good. Yeah, the medals seems to be coming thick and fast now for for Team Scotland, and tomorrow's the last day, Graham, of the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, Scotland have won 45 medals so far. We've managed to win 11 gold, which is brilliant. And apparently this is our most successful Commonwealth Games outside of 2014, which is absolutely fantastic for Scotland. They've done very well. As I said on Friday, I was so pleased for Eilish McColgan to win that race and to see her mother in that, so proud. Scotland have done brilliantly. Again, the Australians are just a romping home, to be honest. They're winning goals every left, right and centre, but it's been a fantastic time for Scotland, and as Rangers women now go 6-0 up against Glasgow women. So it's been brilliant for Scotland. It really has been.
What I'll say the Glasgow women point of view, Graham, is they're obviously going to beat 6-0 by Rangers. Apologies for the lighting, by the way. It's obviously a lovely afternoon. Obviously, we've already fought for. We had a few heavy drubbings by your Rangers and your Celtics, and it's never nice. For me, being a media officer, it's frustrating as hell. But you obviously can't help what happens on the football pitch. But I just Glasgow women, irrespective of what happens now, moving forward, don't get too down beat irrespective of what happens, because that's obviously a brutal outcome, and we're not even at half time yet in that game at Rangers.
I think one sport, going back to the athletics, if you're a big athletics fan, 7:20 there's a race for Laura Muir. She is going for gold in the women's 1500 final tonight. So that's 7:20. Of course, Half Indy Live on in the background. Just turn down the volume and listen to Laura Muir, hopefully winning gold for Team Scotland as well. But yeah, I mean, every time you look at the Commonwealth Games, Graham, it seems Scotland are winning medals for fun.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I didn't know how they would do this year, and I actually quite like the fact that it's not like Team GB and that anymore. It's actually Team Scotland, Team England, Team Wales. I prefer that. And it's great to see the Scottish people doing so well. And obviously, we talked on Friday about the fact that the Bowls had that 75-year-old winning a gold medal. It's brilliant to see. And hopefully, by the end of the Commonwealth Games, we've got more. But 45 medals for Scotland, I think it's a brilliant achievement so far.
Yeah, no, exactly. And early on in the, you were saying that George Smither, he became the oldest medalist for MMA. 75, you were saying. And you were also saying on Friday, Graham, about powerlifting. Mike Yeo won bronze for Para Scotland, 72 kilo in that one. And also you had Sammy Kinghorn and Elise McColden. That was a brilliant moment for her to see her and her mum celebrating as well. And also early on, you had Neil Fatshey in the paracycling winning gold. In fact, he became the five gold medals in the paracycling for Team Scotland as well. As Dundee United went cross there, Stephen Fletcher had a brilliant chance, but still the door shut for Dundee United to get still 1-0 to Livy with 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes had gone at the end of this game, so anything could happen. I wonder if Martin Boyle's on the bench for Dundee United today. I'm not actually sure. But there you go. Still 1-0 to Dundee United, Graham.
Yeah, it's very difficult after European game and having that massive high of Thursday night to then play Livingston on a Sunday, and it's disappointing. But I think there's a lot for United fans to be happy about. Today is disappointing if they can't get a draw at that game, but I think they've got to look forward. They've got a lot of good signings, and I think, as I said on Friday, Stephen Fletcher's a really good appointment, a really good signing for them. I think getting Dylan Levitt back is a great signing. I think Glenn Middleton, that goal on Thursday, he's a good signing. So there's a lot to look forward to for United fans, but it is very difficult after the European game to then win your next game. A lot of teams have found that out, and United are finding that now.
That must have been Tony Watt's fourth chance to equalise for Dundee United today, and it's not his day at all. It's going now to Dundee United. Right, Graham, we've got a few minutes left. If you were Van Bronckhorst, would you play Alfredo Morelos from the start on Tuesday night?
It depends how fit he is. Obviously, coming off the bench yesterday, he must be fit in some stage, but I think they have to score. They have to win the game, so I think they have to start him. It'll be interesting to see what he does, because there's no doubt Morelos is a best striker, so I think he probably will start, and it's going to be huge for Rangers. They have to score that first goal. But as I said last week, I think that team SG looked very dangerous, so they'll have to be very cautious of the counter-attack, because they look quite quick up front. It'll be a difficult game. I think... I don't know if Rangers... Oh, it's going to be hard. Can Rangers win the game? I think they can, but whether they will, I don't know, because I think that team looked very dangerous, so it'll be a difficult game. But for me, I think if Morelos is fit, he has to start.
Dave, what do you think about the game on Tuesday night?
First and foremost, easy sheet for Celtic FC. We're 4-0 up against Hibs. A fantastic finish by, I think I'll confirm, but I think it's Larisi. I think it's Larisi that scored for Celtic. Just go watch it back just now. Good ball across. Good interchange of pass in the midfield area. Jacinta plays the ball, and Larisi with the finish beyond the Hibs goalkeeper, high to the roof of the net. So 4-0 Celtic. What I will say is Jacinta's looking like a top player, and Larisi, she offers a lot. Obviously, Celtic have lost Charlie Wellens, but Larisi, she's been very, very impressive, and she's got a lot of responsibility in her hands for Fran Alonso's side this season. So, yeah, good for her to get on the score sheet. Celtic 4-0 on the good. As for Rangers game on Tuesday, I think you do start Morelos because it's a big game for Rangers. It's obviously big in terms of Rangers' European ambitions, and I don't think any Rangers fan will want to be sitting in the house on a Thursday night with a cold beer in their hand watching their team play. It's obviously better than what other, particularly Aberdeen fans, will be getting used to on a Thursday night. We'll have to endure Rangers and Hearts in action, interject perhaps as well on a Thursday night. But in terms of Rangers, they won't want to see Celtic playing a Tuesday or Wednesday night when Rangers are on European action on a Thursday. So, it's going to be interesting. I think it's a big game. I think they need to play the strongest 11.
A couple minutes left to go at Tally. Still 1-0 to Livy. As you can imagine, Livy's keeping the ball in the corner and just frustrating Dundee United. Dundee United has a free kick. But I think as soon as the ball gets kicked, the ref will blow the final whistle, and it's a big 3 points for Livingston when as I say, when the goalkeeper takes his free kick for Dundee United, the game will be over, and that'll be a bit of a blow. Yeah, exactly. In fact, he's on the park as we speak. He's giving David Martindale a big kiss on the cheek, and the ref looks at his watch. Still a few minutes to go here. We've reached 95 minutes, and Livingston gets hoofs the ball up, or as Arsenal at first and says, Wolf swept away, and I love to say that. And it's a shy for Dundee United, still 1-0 to Livingston. So we spoke about Rangers on Wednesday, on Tuesday night. What about Dundee United, Dave, on Thursday night?
Yep, good performance.
Sorry, bad time and final whistle at Tally Dice, Dundee United 0, Livingston 1.
So, first of all, it's good 3 points for Livingston, good 3 points for Regan Stevenson and David Martindale. Obviously, as I touched upon earlier on, Livingston we had a disappointing outcome last Saturday against Rangers. The game was turned in 110 seconds in that game in question at Tony Macaroni last weekend. And I think Livingston surprised a few teams this season. Yeah, they maybe didn't have the best Premier Sports Cup group, Livingston, but I think they used pre-season as pre-season, and they used Premier Sports Cup as pre-season. And I think you could tell that extra fitness, extra players coming in and sorting a few things out during that period has allowed Davy Martin a bit of time. And let's be honest, Rangers wasn't going to be a bit of a free hit for Livingston, but that's a very, very welcome victory for Davy Martindale this afternoon. So a big win that for Livingston. As for United, you obviously played Alkmaar first night, and as I said, I thought they were impressive. Expected more from Alkmaar, to be fair. One of their players was actually speaking to the media after the game on Thursday. He was speaking about how physical he felt United were. And I thought it was a little bit disrespectful because you'll get the winning goal. Dylan Levitt does tremendously well. He gets a lot of free time in the middle of the park, plays the ball out wide. McGrath, it's a really good position. McGrath cuts it back and then Glenn Middleton provides the finish that he does. And it's a really, really well worked team goal. So in terms of Dundee United, they were impressive on Thursday. Today is disappointing. As Jack Ross kind of alluded to, speaking to Alan Temple on the Curia on Thursday, it's hard physically and mentally to be playing Thursday, Sunday. And that's going to be the problem moving forward for like a Hearts under Robbie Nelson. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that type of mentality where they're having, especially in the lead up to the World Cup, where they're having to play Thursday, Sunday constantly. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, Graham. What do you think of that Hearts playing twice a week in a short space of time?
Yeah, this is what's going to be difficult European games. You know, we've got Zurich. Well, I've seen it was Zurich because they'll put it up in the first leg, so it's going to be difficult. But that's what we need a bigger squad for. You know, I know Barry said on Thursday, hope we'd have a few more players in, so we need a bigger squad. And that might be the only thing that might stop us getting third place is those European games. But it's something that Hearts have to look forward to. You know, we're going to have a lot of games to play, but it's something for me that I'm looking forward to. You know, how we're going to cope in Europe, how we're going to cope with the league season. I think I'm looking forward to what we're going to do. But first and foremost, for me, those first games against Zurich, if it is going to be Zurich, are going to be very difficult. But I'm glad the first game's away from home. Go back to Tynecastle, see what we've got to do in the second leg. But I'm just buzzing to see European football back at Tynecastle again because it's been a while.
Final word must go to the Commonwealth Games, Dave. It's been brilliant to see the last few weeks Scotland performing well. And as Graham said, it makes a difference from the Olympics where you have Team Scotland, Team England, Team Wales, Team Northern Ireland as well, you know, competing totally different to the Olympics where you just have Team GB.
Sorry, Michael, can I just say, Glasgow City are now 6-0 up. They've just scored 2 in 2 minutes. They're now 6-0 up against Hibs.
Do you mean Celtic?
Celtic, that's what I meant, Celtic.
Fantastic. Here's the goal here. Fantastic free ball, cut back. That's a great finish. Hibs have been all over the place first half. No Joel Murray, no Siobhan Hunter, it tells. And Celtic have been dominant this first half. And I hate to say this, gentlemen. Rangers being 6-0 against Glasgow Women, Celtic being 6-0 against Hibs isn't a great look for women's football. It's good that there's quality. It's good that there's quality teams in abundance. But these high score lines is not a good look for women's football in this country.
Guys, I'm afraid to say we're a few minutes away to the end of the show. It's been a busy day, Graham, for football with Scacky Golf. Your team picking up a point, disappointing not to get 3 points at Easter Road, and we finally got off with women's football, so a brilliant day.
It has been, as I say, frustrating that we didn't win the game in the end, but listen, it's a derby game, and if you don't take your chances, you're not going to win the game, and we didn't take our chances second half. Fair play to Hibs. It's the dream for Martin Ball to come back yesterday. Got his international clearance, unfortunately for me, and then scores the equaliser. So, listen, fair play to Hibs. They got the draw. Disappointed that we didn't win the game, but it's 2 games in. We've got 4 points out of 6. We've got a lot to look forward to, so there's no real massive damage done, but I'd like to see us win the game, but that is what it is.
Dave, will we be back on Friday night to see about Rangers in the Champions League and Dundee United progressing in the Conference League, do you think?
Here's hoping for 2 wins out of 2, aye.
Yeah, good stuff. So thanks for joining us on the first show. We'll be back Friday night between 5 and 7. And then next Sunday, looking back at Camar's game against Celtic, 3 until 5, and some women's football as well. So thanks to joining us tonight on YouTube and Facebook Live. Thanks to Graham Duffy, and thanks to Dave Smith for keeping me company this fine Sunday afternoon. Very busy for football. Keep it here, and we'll be back on Friday at 5 o'clock. Have a good week, and bye-bye for now.